If you're building a product that's supposed to work in many different countries and cultures, then you also need to build a company that operates internally across many different countries and cultures. Let's talk
a bit from the entrepreneur's perspective as well, because a lot of entrepreneurs want and aim for rapid growth and high turnover in a short period of time. You have managed to achieve this. So tell us how you succeeded. Has it been thanks to your employees? Has this been the key to your success? How many employees do you have today? And how long are the workdays nowadays?
We have 62 people working for us, split between Estonia and England. As for workdays, I think my workdays are pretty lively, of standard length, but maybe the only difference is that they're very intense. Often within those 80 hours, I have to fit in a crazy amount of different meetings or decisions. Maybe that's what's different. I still sometimes wonder how life can get even faster, even after, say, we managed to grow TransferWise, and then life just keeps getting faster. It's interesting.
What is your role today, since Hans has been involved in daily operations?
Well, in that sense, we have very strong teams for most things, but we don't have anyone today who would be like Hans's CEO or, I guess, managers who would only deal with people management. We don't have those kinds of roles yet, and we don't have the ambition to create them either. Often that kind of layer tends to create a certain... Is it like an activity translation service in between? Where often it's like a game of telephone. One person explains to another, and then they pass it on, and information gets lost along the way and everything slows down. We try to give people a lot of responsibility in their own field, so they have the opportunity to really understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, and to actually take ownership and look at the results. On one hand, this gives some people really good feedback because you actually do the work and understand what you're really doing. But on the other hand, it also means there is significantly less pointless fussing around, and you finally get to do real productive work.
Is there still a strong management structure, like middle managers or heads of departments, or how does that structure look? But for us?
Well, because for us, there were legally very clearly defined job roles. Since we are a highly regulated company in different countries, some roles are actually, so to speak, prescribed by law. But our managers also spend a lot of time making sure our people are really strong so that their careers and development progress quickly. Well, today that's an incredibly good way to do it because the company isn't static. Last year we grew sevenfold and expanded into many different countries. That means everyone constantly has to learn, and this learning actually provides a really good way for personal development through what...
The biggest challenges have been managing the organization across different countries, like 22 different countries. Each one has a slightly different culture, and that has been problematic. There have definitely been some challenges. When
you're building a product that needs to work in many different countries and cultures, you also have to build a company that operates internally across many different countries and cultures. The local person looks at the situation and says, well, basically everything is there, but some nuances just don't work, and you don't understand why. Often these nuances are so well hidden that you might not even think about them. For example, I have a women investors event. It's next week, it was announced yesterday, and by this morning it was already sold out. How do they invest? What are the concerns women might have? What concerns do men have? What worries do young people have? What about older people? And you have to consider all of this in every country. So you need people from these different roles who understand these things. That's why we have the French and the Finns.
So many of these nationalities are gathered here, ladies. I
can't even say exactly, but quite a lot. We have about half of Europe represented here, which is extremely, extremely useful because they bring that knowledge and experience to you. In the end, yes.
Now think about it. Since you've already seen different cultures and experiences with investing in European countries, how would you assess the financial awareness of Estonian people compared to other countries? Is it better? Is Estonia...
Estonia is actually in a pretty unique position. First of all, we started from scratch just a few decades ago, but at the same time, we have a very strong investor culture here. So credit goes to various Estonian investor communities and leaders, Investor Tumas, who is here today, the Audi A Club, Kristi Saare, and many others. They have created an environment where investing isn't just for those in the know or for the truly wealthy. It's become something that ordinary people can do, and this normalization is extremely important. You need role models, you need people who speak your language. For comparison, often when we go to another country, we see this YouTube style where people just say, well, if you invest in this, it will go up, and that's it. there are often very risky directions and so on. In Estonia, the first thing people will probably tell you is to pay off your debts, then max out your pension and so on, which is actually very sensible.
It's still higher than in many other countries. And
that's incredibly good because that's what creates long-term investors in the end.
How much do you yourself invest outside of that? Considering that Masaru's main focus is on growing this ladder and supplying assets to this business, but do you also invest outside of this company?
I invest mostly through LHV, or most of my investments go through there. I'm a pretty stable investor. I buy regularly in advance, and I like technology stocks, maybe the Nasdaq 100, and that's kind of the direction I go in. Around that, there are some odds and ends, like some startup investments, but those are rather smaller in scale.
So paper assets are your so-called favorite asset class, where you put yourself, right?
I generally like to diversify my financial portfolio quite a bit. On one hand, you have real estate, which is a substantial and significant long-term asset, but that is exactly where I put my money and then just allow it to appreciate over time. For the rest of my capital, I prefer more highly liquid and sustainable long-term investments.